Live from Minute Maid Park in Houston, Texas. Tonight, the Astros take on the Chicago Cubs in the opener of a 6-game homestand here on FSN Houston. And good evening, everybody. Bill Brown and Larry Durker, Greg Lucas on the field for what should be a great pitching matchup tonight, Larry.
It certainly should. You got a couple of guys who've won over 300 games apiece, and I know it's got to get to them too. It's not that this game is any bigger than any other game, but when you're a pitcher and you're facing one of the other guys that's one of the best pitchers in the league, you want to beat him.
These matchups are so rare. Don Sutton was involved in 4 matchups with another 300-game winner back in the 80s, and that's the last time it's taken place, 87.
Yeah, well, those are some pretty good pitchers up there. Tom Seaver, of course, a Hall of Famer. Steve Carlton the same way, and also Phil Niekro. And Carlton is tied with Clemens right now in terms of career victories at 329. So Roger is going to try once more to try to get that 330th win, and it has been elusive. He can't pitch any better than he's been pitching, but he's got to have runs to win. And Maddux is off to a little bit of a slow start, but he's a great competitor, and I don't think the Astros are going to take him lightly.
As you see, they've combined for 11 Cy Youngs and over 8,000 innings. So the fans are flocking to Minute Maid Park in Houston for the first game of this series. It's the Astros and the Cubs next. Tonight's Houston Astros baseball game on FSN Houston is being brought to you by your Texas Ford dealers, by the Progressive Insurance Group, by Gatorade, and by Southwest Airlines. It's been a cloudy, breezy day here at Minute Maid Park. It's game 1 of a 3-game series and the first of 16 meetings between the Astros and the Cubs. Here is Dusty Baker's starting lineup for the Chicago Cubs, brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Jerry Hairston Jr. leads it off at second base. It's Navy Perez at shortstop, with Corey Patterson batting third in center field. The cleanup man leads the league in many categories. He is first baseman Derek Lee, with Aramis Ramirez at third base, Jeremy Burnett's in right field, Todd Hollandsworth in left. Michael Barrett is the catcher for Greg Maddux. Roger Clemens is ready to deal right now, with Jerry Hairston Jr. leading it off. Hairston takes, and it's ball 1 outside to a 275 hitter with no homers and 1 RBI. Hairston has been a good man at reaching base, 383 on base average so far. He's filling in for the injured Todd Walker, who's out with a knee injury. And he fouls it back. 1 ball, 1 strike. Cubs are missing both of their starting double play combination, with Nomar Garciaparra out with a groin injury as well, and Navy Perez, who will bat next, has filled in quite capably for Nomar. So Chicago's dealing with several injuries, including Joe Borowski, who probably would have been their closer again to open the season, Larry.
Well, and they still have enough good players left. They're 11-10, and most of the guys that have filled in, like Hollandsworth and Hairston, have some big league experience.
It's 2-1. Rob Drake is the home plate umpire.
It took him 3 pitches to get booed. How would anyone want to be an umpire?
It's a tough job. Laz Diaz, Dana DeMuth, and Marty Foster could tell you all about that. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Right behind home plate is the coach of the Baylor Lady Bears. They were honored before the game today, Kim Mulkey Robertson. She'll be joining us in the booth later on tonight. There's Kim alongside Elizabeth McLean.
She went all the way back to the 60 feet 6 inches right on the pitching rubber and fired one in there. Phil Garner caught it.
Very impressive arm. Good night for baseball as Clemens takes his 1-0 record to the mound and gets a little tap foul. Roger 2-2 in his career against the Chicago Cubs. As Larry mentioned, he's still trying to snap that tie for 9th place on the all-time win list with Steve Carlton. 329 wins, 164 losses for the Rocket. And he leads the majors with that 0.32 ERA. He has a 23-inning scoreless streak coming into this one tonight. The club record for the Astros, 31, set by J.R. Richard.
He struck somebody out. That's something new.
That's his 33rd strikeout. He's in his 29th inning.
This is the principal difference between Maddux and Clemens. Clemens can throw that high fastball by you upstairs. If Maddux throws one upstairs, it's by mistake. He's got the sinker and the cutter, but he doesn't have anything to just overpower a hitter with.
The Rico scouting report shows you The variety of Roger Clemens.
And he's got a sinking fastball, he's got a cut fastball, and he's got that one he just threw Hairston that rides. And he's got quite a few other weapons too. He throws more different pitches than Maddux does. They both throw curveballs, probably no more than 5 or 6 of them a game. Roger will throw a true slider where Maddux is more like a cut fastball.
David Perez has a 1-1 count. He's on a 6-game hitting streak. He has 13 hits and 24 at bats, a sizzling .393 for the season with 3 homers and a dozen runs batted in.
And he wants to get a starting job back. He was the everyday shortstop for the Rockies for a number of years. Since then he's moved around some and lost his everyday status.
Fastball goes in the air to left field. Mike Lamb's waiting for it. 2 down. The Cubs are second in the National League in runs scored.
They've got some pretty impressive numbers. They got 3 guys on their team or in their lineup tonight that have more RBIs than the Astros leading RBI man Jason Lane.
Cubs are opening a 6-game road trip tonight. Corey Patterson, who led off quite a bit for them last season again, is batting third tonight with a .299 average. He has 5 homers. He's driven in 10 runs.
As a leadoff hitter, he falls a little short even with a high average because he hardly ever walks. But he's got some power.
1 to Patterson.
That's a split. Most of the time when you see Roger throw a pitch that goes down a little bit as it approaches the hitting area and is somewhere in the neighborhood of 87 to 89, 90 miles an hour, it's a split. Maddux has a similar pitch, but his is a changeup.
Patterson with a long swing late on that 94-mile-per-hour heater.
But when Roger throws his fastball down around the knees that hard, if the hitter even has an inkling that it might be a split, he'll wait. And once he waits, it's too late.
1 win, no losses, a 0.32 ERA. .214 batting average against. 1-2. Patterson hit a walk-off homer in the 9th inning on Wednesday to beat Cincinnati.
But the Cubs have been a better hitting team than pitching team so far this year. Maddux, as we mentioned, off to a slow start, 0-1 with a .450. And you know he's going to win his game. So Mark Pryor has pitched very well, but Zambrano hasn't pitched very well yet.
Yeah, Zambrano's been ejected from 2 of his starts. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Pryor will pitch here on Sunday with an ERA of 0.95. Roy Oswalt will be his mound opponent. We'll be back on the air with that one at 1 o'clock. Tomorrow night's game not televised at 6:05. It's Brandon Backey and Kerry Wood. Flick foul.
Kerry Wood is another guy that's off to a slow start. Both Wood and Pryor had some injury problems this spring. Wood is 1-1, but with an earned run average of .579. So in a sense here, as we see this series set up, the Astros like to feel that if they can continue to pitch well and field the ball well, that they can score enough runs to start winning again.
They lost 5 straight. Struck him out. That's a great start for Clemens. 1-2-3 with a couple of Ks. Cubs nothing. Astros due up against Maddux. It's the Cubs nothing. The Astros coming up with Phil Garner's starting lineup looking this way, and it's brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Tavares leads it off in center field. He's followed by Craig Biggio at second base. Jeff Bagwell plays first base with Mike Lamb, the cleanup man, in left field. Jason Lane is in right field. Morgan Ensberg at third. Eric Brunlett for the ailing Adam Everett at shortstop. Brad Ausmus, the catcher, bats 8th. Roger Clemens in the 9th spot. And on the mound, it is Greg Maddux, longtime opponent of the Houston Astros, facing Willie Tavares. Tavares takes, and it's ball 1 with good movement down and in from Maddux to a .273 hitter with 1 homer and 7 runs batted in. Tavares has scored 10 times. It's 1-1. The Astros haven't done much in the first inning of their games. They have scored a total of 6 runs in the first inning. Their opponents have scored 12. They have not scored now for 21 innings. One ball, 2 strikes. So as they take the field tonight, they're hoping the dam is ready to burst, Larry.
It seems like a matter of time. They're not going to be one of the greatest hitting teams this year, but they're a lot better than they've been lately.
Maddux misses by a bit. It's 2 balls, 2 strikes. He's usually around the plate, Larry.
Yeah, and he gets a lot of guys to swing at pitches that aren't strikes because he starts it on the plate and then it moves a little bit out of the strike zone. And he gets a lot of guys to take pitches that look like balls have come back and become strikes.
Second baseman Hairston unable to make the clean pickup, and Speedy Willie Taveras reaches.
I don't think he could have thrown it out anyway.
It's ruled a hit.
Trying to make contact, and when he does that, his speed will afford him many opportunities. I suppose it's a play that could have been made, but he really would have had to get rid of it quickly and throw it hard. I'd like to know what that feels like.
Yeah, we'll never know.
What would it feel like to be able to run that fast? Does the wind get in your eyes or something like that?
We'll have to ask him. That's the only way to find out. Greg Biggio, with all those career at-bats against Greg Maddux, double play depth on the infield. Swings at a pitch in tight, and it's strike 1 to a .297 hitter with 2 homers and 8 runs batted in.
He's done pretty well against Maddux. 302 with a home run. No matter how well you've done against him, though, each time you face him, it's a tremendous challenge.
Maddux had a good outing last time out. Pitch out, throw to first, Taveras back. Logical to assume that the Astros would try to do some running here.
Well, for 2 reasons. One, Maddux isn't that quick to the plate, and so you can steal bases off it. And the other reason is he gets a lot of ground balls, and so you want to take that double play chance away from them. So you may see some steals, and you may see the hit and run too.
He's going. Biggio makes a foul. 1 ball, 2 strikes, and the Rico scouting report will show you more about Mr. Maddux.
But he throws those 2 fastballs. One sinks and goes down and in on a right-hander. The other one cuts away from a right-hander. His changeup is a pitch similar to Roger's split. It comes up and dives at the plate. And he's got a curveball and so much of a feel for the game.
Biggio pops it up. Shortstop Nathan Perez underneath. 1 out.
One thing that the hitters do a lot against Maddux is help him. It's the last thing they want to do, but they expect him to throw those sinkers and changeups and breaking balls right on the corner every time. And so when he throws those pitches, they swing, and oftentimes they hit those pitches, and then they make outs. If you would just wait for a pitch down the middle, and I know that sounds ridiculous, but he will throw the ball down the middle. He would rather give you a pitch to hit than walk you. And in that way, he's different from Roger, and he's different from his old teammate Tom Galvin. Those 2 guys would rather walk you than give you a good pitch to hit.
Pitch out, Taveras going, and he beats it. Stolen base number 7 for Willie Taveras. He's been caught only once, and he's beaten 3 pitch outs on steals.
Not a great jump, but pretty good. If the throw had been perfect, it would have had him. And when it's somewhat less than perfect, you're probably not going to get him no matter what.
He's in scoring position, and that pitch is ball 1, of course, to Bagwell.
Bagwell's he's hit Maddux pretty well too. 304. Yeah, 6 home runs against him.
Jeff on a 3-game hitting streak, has 2 homers, 11 runs batted in. He has a touch of that flu that is raging through the Astros clubhouse right now. It's claimed Adam Everett from the starting lineup tonight. Some of the other players have it as well. Pick off at second. Taveras back easily.
Well, count the number of pitches, if you can think of it. Count the number of pitches that Maddux throws down the middle during this game. I bet you it'll be a lot more than you think.
Maddux has 3 walks in 24 innings coming into this game.
You know, Brownie, I walked through the clubhouse. You were talking about the illness that's been going through the clubhouse. And when I got here about 3:30, I walked in, and coming out of the trainer's room was Lance Berkman wearing a surgical mask and rubber gloves. He says, "I'm not going to get this thing." So
good idea, Lance.
He's going to leave town tomorrow.
Yes, he is. Didn't want to contaminate Round Rock.
Changeup makes it 3-1. Yeah, Lance will head for the Round Rock Express where he'll play tomorrow night and Sunday afternoon. Then he'll take Monday off. General Manager Tim Purpura just made this announcement about 10 minutes before game time. And then the club will go on the road to New Orleans, so he'll join them there Tuesday, Wednesday. Pick off again at second. That a little bit closer. And on Thursday, Lance will be reevaluated with the possibility that he could rejoin the Astros on Friday in Atlanta. Things have gone very well. Dr. David Lintner saw him before the game today and was extremely pleased with Lance during this process. Lance wants to see a little bit harder throwers, and he will at Round Rock compared to what he saw in Kissimmee, Florida at extended spring training. Bagwell takes a walk. Runners at first and second now for Mike Lamb.
Just when I said he'd rather give you a pitch to hit than walk you, he didn't give Bagwell any pitches to hit and walked him.
Lamb in the game in left field has a .200 batting average. He has 3 runs batted in. He got a start in right field on Wednesday, and he had a double in 4 bats. He also hit the ball hard a couple of other times. Joe Garner stating before that game Wednesday he really wants to get Mike Lamb going, so Mike gets more playing time. Left-handed hitters are hitting .310 so far this year against Maddux. Lamb shoots a foul for strike 1. These two teams fought tooth and nail down the stretch last year. What a tremendous season series it was, especially those September and late August games.
Cubs won 10, the Astros won 9. Got much closer than that.
Maddux with a 24-10 career record against the Astros has a 2.54 ERA against them. Way inside, almost hit him.
But they've really been trying hard to keep Taveras on second base. Nevy Perez coming right in behind him on almost every pitch. Maddux has been 1-5 and 1-6 to the plate, which is pretty slow. If Taveras did take off for third, I wouldn't be surprised if the Cubs threw to second to try to get Bagwell rather than throwing to third.
Lamb rips a line drive, headed for the right field corner. Taveras around third to score easily. Bagwell headed for third base. Doug Mansolino will stop him there. RBI double Mike Lamb. 1-0 Astros. And it's a rare first inning tally for them. That ends the 21-inning scoreless streak.
Well, Lamb swung the bat real well against the Cubs last year, and he's picking right up where he left off. I think Roger Clemens just fainted in the dugout.
That's the second run not driven in by Roger Clemens to score with his 29 innings on the mound so far this season. He's driven in 2 himself. And Jason Lane brings the prospect of more with men on second and third and 1 out.
Well, they don't have to worry about holding Taveras on anymore.
At 3:13, Lane has gone deep 4 times with a dozen runs batted in.
You know what, Brownie, that's what I think a base stealer can do for your team beyond just stealing bases, is just make the other team change its approach, make the pitcher try to be quicker, make the infielders try to come into second base and hold the runner. And that of course opens up more holes on the infield, and if the pitcher tries to hurry to get the ball to the catcher, sometimes he makes a mistake with his pitch. And I think you get almost as much benefit from the threat of stealing as you do from stealing.
Bouncer Maddux has Bagwell off third. And Aramis Ramirez runs into Michael Barrett, who tags him out. Meanwhile, advancing to third, Mike Lamb on out number 2. Maddux very alertly caught out of the corner of his eye. Bagwell dancing off third. 2 outs, runners at first and third now.
He's such a good fielder. Most right-handed pitchers have trouble going back to the backhand side to make a play. He faked Bagwell, then looked to first, looked back again. Ended up getting him. If he hadn't made that play and just had held him thrown to first, it would be second and third now with 2 outs instead of first and third. Won 14 Gold Gloves.
He gets a lot of balls hit back to him. Morgan Ensberg with a .254 average has 2 homers. He's driven in 7. He hit a couple of deep drives caught in left field at PNC Park on Wednesday. And there would have been home runs, of course, in this ballpark. There's ball one to Ensberg. So a lot of the Astros hitters are finding themselves in between on things like that. This is the first matchup between Maddux and Clemens since June of 2000 when the Yankees played in Atlanta, and both had a no decision in that game. It's 1 ball 1 strike to Morgan Ensberg, who has 2 hits and 9 career at bats against this right-hander.
It's not so much incentive at this point to steal a base. And Lane's been pretty good, 5-0, but I think a lot of that's been the surprise effect. With 2 outs in the inning, you're not worried about a double play, so the incentive isn't there to take a big risk. And with Derek Lee holding Lane on first base, if Ensberg gets the pitch out over the plate, he's got a hole to shoot through there, try to get a single through the right side and get the run in.
It's 1 ball and 2 strikes on a changeup from Maddux at 79 miles per hour.
Part of it's the change of speed. His fastball is usually in the mid-90s, so when he throws a changeup 79, it looks a lot like the fastball. It moves a lot like the fastball, down and in on a right-handed batter, but it's just a different speed.
Maddux throws over on Jason Lane. Maddux last year became the first pitcher in Major League history to win 15 games or more for 17 consecutive seasons.
He's only been a 20-game winner twice, but he's won 19 7 times.
There's going. Ground ball goes foul. Maddux notched his 300th win last August, becoming the first National Leaguer to reach that mark since Steve Carlton in September of '83.
Earned run average last year of 4.02, which is a lot higher than his lifetime mark, but he still won 16 games.
This is the first time this year he's given up a first-inning run. There goes again, and Ensberg strikes out. The Astros get a run on 2 hits. They strand a couple. They lead it 1-0. The Astros lead it 1-0, and they've played one here under cloudy skies on a 76-degree evening. Roger Clemens had a 1-2-3 first with 2 strikeouts. Now it's Derek Lee. He has fantastic numbers here on April 29th. Ball 1 to Lee. Looks at the breaking pitch away at 430. He has 7 homers and 27 runs batted in. Leads the league with all 3 of those figures. Also in slugging percentage, total bases. He's atop the National League.
He's a lot right now like Bagwell was, say, 10 years ago. He's getting his walks, 13 of them. He's stolen 4 bases in 5 tries. He's an excellent defensive player.
You know.
And now Roger, of course, is in that mode we talked about earlier. Even 2-0, he's trying to nick that corner. He would rather walk this guy than throw him a pitch down the middle to hit.
Lee takes a 4-pitch leadoff walk. Lee has set a new Cub record for runs batted in April, and a personal high for him. So that's the 14th walk he's taken, and as Larry pointed out, he can run.
But Roger's different than Greg in the sense that he'll work on runners more. He'll throw to first more often. He'll try to speed up his delivery a little bit to give Brad Ausmus a chance if Lee does run.
Thomas Ramirez in the box. They strike 1.
This guy's still probably the most dangerous hitter the Cubs have. He's off to a slow start. Certainly not slow from the standpoint of some of the Astros hitters, but he's got 4 homers, 14 RBIs, and for him, that's not one of his better months.
Wound up with 36 bombs, 103 runs batted in last year.
He's not as good an all-around player as Lee is. He doesn't run as well. He's not as good a fielder, but he's a really good hitter.
He set a club record for homers by a third baseman last season, and then signed a new 4-year contract. Cubs got him in a trade from the Pirates, as you probably remember, in July of 2003, along with Kenny Lofton. Line shot goes into right center field. Willie Taveras goes over. Lee will hold it second as Taveras hits the cutoff man. First and second, nobody out on the single by Ramirez.
You know, this is a big battle because, as everyone knows, it's a battle of 2 300-game winners. First time in the National League this has happened since 1892. That is, everyone was real excited about it except one Orlando Palmeiro when asked.
Yeah. Until you told me, I had no idea that was such a big deal. You know, I know those are guys that have a lot of wins under their belts, but I figured it happened more frequently than you mentioned.
You would have thought they might have met last year, but they didn't.
Yeah, I didn't know. Like I said, I didn't think it was a big deal, but obviously it is.
It is a big deal. Jeremy Burnett is the batter. What time is called? There's a little line drive into left center, and Lee comes around third. He'll score the tying run in a 1-1 game.
Well, Roger finally gives up a run on a curveball of all pitches, a pitch he probably throws less frequently than anything else.
Somebody stood up behind home plate.
Burnett didn't time it very well, but it was a hanger, and he was able to hit it on a line and drop it in between short and left. We'd rather have that than a line drive right at an infielder for a double play.
RBI number 15 for Jeremy Burnett, who went to Conroe High School. Todd Hollingsworth is the batter. Hollingsworth toward the left field line. The ball is slicing, and it's a fair ball. It kicks back into the corner. Mike Lamb has to go back and try to make a play on it. And the Cubs take a 2-1 lead on an opposite field looping double by Hollingsworth for his 6th run batted in, scoring Ramirez and sending Burnett from first to third. The 23-inning scoreless streak has been ended for Clemens in this inning. That one not exactly a line shot.
No, the last two haven't been, but at this point he's probably thinking that he should have just challenged Lee at the beginning of the inning instead of pitching so carefully and walking him.
From where I'm sitting, that ball by Hollingsworth was so weakly hit, it didn't have enough spin to make it go foul. I mean,
You're probably right.
Oh, it was awful.
It's beautiful for the Cubs. They lead it 2-1 with Michael Barrett trying to cash in even further with nobody out. He fouls the breaking pitch for strike one with Bagwell off the line, even with a bag at first. Barrett, a .219 hitter, has 2 homers and 8 runs batted in. Maddux is on deck. Barrett, though, is showing signs of life in his last 3 games, going 5 for 10 with a pair of doubles, a triple, and 2 runs batted in. In the hole, Bruntlett straightens up and makes a good play. Had to worry about that runner at third a little bit, but Burnett wasn't coming in on it.
Well, Bruntlett showed some good poise on that play. He had a feeling for the speed of the runner Barrett, so he didn't try to hurry the ball to first base. He made sure things were settled down over at third base first, and now the Astros are going to bring the infield in with 1 out.
Maddux is the batter.
Maddux is a really good bunter.
Yeah, it's 1 hit and 7 at bats, 1 sacrifice bunt as well. And he is the leader among all active players in sacrifice bunts.
Yeah, and he's been known to drop down a squeeze bunt too.
He pokes a ground ball. Bagwell looks the runner back to third, and Maddux will run into the tag.
Bagwell much prefers to get the ball and tag the runner than to have to throw the ball, of course. And in that case, with a runner on third, he's going to run Maddux all the way back to the plate if he had to make sure that the runner on third didn't score. If Jeff runs back to first base and Burnett takes off, or Burnett, then he might be able to score.
But he's at third still after 2 ground ball outs. And Jerry Hairston Jr. is up for the 2nd time. He struck out leading off the game. Cubs are very happy with what he's provided in his first year as a Cub. Strike to Hairston, former Baltimore Oriole. Made his first start of the season April 8th against Milwaukee as the leadoff man, playing second. He's hit safely in 11 of his last 13 games. Last year he hit 303. He can play the outfield as well as second base. Slowly hit. Bruntlett makes a good play, and in the second inning the Cubs score 2 to grab the lead. They leave 2 men on. They had 3 hits in the inning, and it's 2-1 Chicago in the second. Coming up on our Dodge Grab Life by the Horns feature, we'll be asking Brad Lidge what aspect of his game he would like to improve. Stay tuned to see his answer. 2-1 the Cubs lead it. The Astros batting now in the second inning, and Eric Bruntlett takes ball 1. Eric 0 for 5 so far this season. He's been on a couple of times with a walk and a hit batsman. Playing for Adam Everett tonight. Adam down with that flu that's going around and has been moving through many major league clubhouses this year. Very rough season for sick players.
Don't let that stuff get up here.
No way. A couple of guys are on the disabled list with it, and one of them is catcher Benito Santiago. The Pirates, he's had a viral infection. Cal Eldred is out with that infection as well. 3-1. In fact, I think he has a condition that you once had, Larry. That was it, pericarditis? Is that what you called it?
Yeah.
The inflammation of the sac around the heart. That's what Cal Eldred had.
That's no fun.
No. Second baseman makes the play on Bruntlett. Jerry Harrison takes care of out number 1. And Brad Ausmus will follow. Greg Maddux all those years with the Atlanta Braves, and now he's back with his original club. The Cubs drafted him in the second round at 84. Brad Ausmus, a 196 hitter, has 5 runs batted in.
Been swinging a little better lately, and he's had some success against Maddux. When the two were together in Atlanta, he had no success against Galvin. Maddux going to keep on throwing that pitch out there until Rob Drake starts calling it. And if he doesn't eventually start calling it, he'll move it back to a little closer towards the strike zone.
Ausmus.
There was a good pitch to hit. He's going to throw a lot of pitches like that if you're ready.
Brad has been ready when he's faced this guy. As you pointed out, 364 his career average against Maddux. And lately, he's hit in 6 of his last 7 games to the tune of 318. Ramirez even with a bag at third. 1-2. The Astros have that shutout monkey off their backs. They've just been shut out the last 2 games in Pittsburgh, 2-0 in both. For the first time, they've been shut out in consecutive games since '93.
But then the Giants went into Pittsburgh and scored 2 runs in the first inning tonight.
On through into right field. Ausmus on a 1-2 pitch takes it the other way for the Astros' 3rd hit of the night.
That helps a lot because now Clemens has got a chance to move Brad up a base. And if he can do that, Taveras will have a chance to drive in and run to tie the game. It's a slap hit, but he hit it on the good part of the bat. It scooted through there with something on it.
Clemens drove in 2 runs in his 3-2 win over Cincinnati here on April 8th. And there have been a total of 3 runs scored when Clemens started games before tonight. He had driven in 2 of the 3. Third baseman Ramirez has crept in on the grass. He's moving in further. Clemens looks at ball 1. Another great pitching matchup tonight.
Look at this now. Maddux is starting to have a few words with the home plate umpire. That looked like it could have been called a strike too. Oftentimes, when you turn around to bunt, the catcher starts coming up to try to get ready to field it. And he did not on that play. But a lot of times the catcher will start to come up to go get the bunt, and when he does, he'll block the umpire's view. And when that happens, normally the umpire calls it a ball.
Great. Said something back. Clemens taps the foul on the bunt. 1 ball, 1 strike. Well, you have to know where that line is with the umpire if you're a player, not to cross it, but okay to question within certain limits, right?
I would think so. I mean, if you can't deal with that, you shouldn't be an umpire,
right? That other great pitching matchup, St. Louis and Atlanta, Mulder and Hudson. It's 4-4 in the 4th. Runners going. There's a hit for Clemens by the diving third Sacker Ramirez. Osmus was on his way. He gets to third, and it's a single for Clemens, who delivers just to the right of Ramirez.
Well, that was a great call. I can't say I was thinking hit and run, but I was thinking maybe Brad should just try to steal, because Lee is fast. He can get in from first to get a force at second. The third baseman, Ramirez, can cheat and get in there close, and Maddux is such a good fielder too that he probably would have taken a perfect bunt to advance Brad to second, whereas just a medium speed ground ball gets him all the way to third, and you don't give up an out.
First and third, one out for Willie Taveras. He reached on the infield hit in the first. He taps one slowly. Ramirez comes home, and Osmus is tagged out. Coming and standing up, Michael Barrett for out number 2. Clemens to second. Taveras reaching.
On that play, Brad is running on contact. It wasn't like he thought he could score on this ball, but what you try to do, you're running on contact and you see you're going to be out in time. And you stop and head back toward third and see if you can stay in a rundown long enough to let the other runners advance another 90 feet. But the Cubs played it well, and Brad didn't have that chance.
Greg Biggio will try to provide a 2-out lift here. He popped to short in the first inning. Biggio looks at ball 1. You've probably heard this over and over. Maddux is one of the smartest pitchers in baseball. He kind of scoffs at that. But he seems to induce the hitter to hit the ball where he wants him to hit it. 2 balls, no strikes.
I was working some postseason games when the Braves played the Rockies 10 years ago or so, and I was working with Pete Van Wieren, who was one of the Braves announcers, and he said, watch where the hitters hit the ball against Maddux. Almost everything's hit between the shortstop and the second baseman, and almost everything's hit on the ground. And so I watched, and that is what happened, and I've watched ever since, and that's what usually happens when he pitches a good ball game.
He's given up 4 homers in 24 innings coming into this. That's a little unusual for him.
So there's a good pitch to hit, but 3-0 Biggio was taking. He probably had a green light there. Most of the time in an RBI situation like this with 2 outs, if you have a good hitter up there, you let him swing 3-0, but some guys don't like to swing 3-0.
Biggio hits it in the air to right center. Jeremy Burnett's over. And Maddux is out of trouble in the second inning with no runs, 2 hits, 2 left for the Astros. The Cubs lead it 2-1 after 2. It's the Cubs 2, the Astros 1 after 2 here at Minute Maid Park. This is the first of 10 meetings between the Cubs and Astros here this season. Fans usually love these games because they have some great firepower on the mound to watch, like this fella tonight. And then Kerry Wood, Brandon Backey tomorrow night. Roy Oswalt will face Mark Pryor on Sunday. Our Jack in the Box standings now. We'll bring you up to date on active career win leaders. Roger Clemens, number 1. Greg Maddux, number 2. And then will we see another 300 game winner? That's what a lot of people are asking right now, Larry.
Right now I'd bet on Randy Johnson ahead of Tom Glavine, even though he's about 20 or so wins short of him at this point.
Rafi Perez leads it off in the 3rd inning. Roger Clemens' winning percentage leads the majors in the last 5 years. .758 winning percentage over the last 5. Willie Taveras. 1 pitch, 1 out for Roger in the 3rd. Among pitchers with 300 wins, only Lefty Grove has a higher career winning percentage than that guy. Lefty Grove 680 for his career. Roger Clemens 667. Corey Patterson is next. He struck out in the 1st inning. He works out over the winter in the Atlanta area with Adam Everett. He bunts and fouls it, strike 1. Derek Lee's on deck. The Cubs had rough sledding at the end of last season, as you recall. They wound up with a record of 89 and 73. The Astros were 92 and 70. Cubs had a very powerful team. Ooh, that went off the foot.
He got way deep into his kitchen on that one. It hit him in the hands.
On the top of the left foot, it appeared. He grabs at it. This is one guy who could help them manufacture more runs. He has good power himself, though, too. With 24 homers last year, and he drove in 72.
He really makes more sense down in the lineup because he is a better power hitter than he is an on-base hitter. But with his speed, the temptation is to get him on in front of the guys that are also power hitters that don't run as fast.
Yes, it is.
And a lot of times I think teams will make a mistake by just putting the fastest runner in the leadoff spot when the guy doesn't get on base that much.
Cranks a foul. The Cubs scored higher percentage of their runs on homers than any other team in the majors last year. 46% of their runs came on home runs, and they've been criticized for not being able to generate more runs with the higher on-base average and more speed.
But they've always had the problem between Wrigley Field and the stadiums on the road. And that is when the wind starts blowing out of Wrigley in the summertime, anyone can hit a home run, and it's the most obvious way to score runs. And most managers are going to play it that way and not take chances on hitting and running or stealing bases. But then they get out on the road, and some of these parks are not so easy in terms of hitting home runs, and they don't compete as well away from Wrigley. Also, with all the day games instead of playing mostly night games, changes things.
That's strikeout number 3 for Clemens.
I really think part of the reason that the Cubs haven't gone to the postseason as much as it seems they should, with all the great players they've had over the years, is just the effect of being shift workers. You go home and you're a daytime worker. You go on the road, you're a nighttime worker. Do that for 6 months and see how you feel.
Yeah. Strike 1 to Derek Lee. Now it's totally different. He was leading off the inning in the second. He drew a walk on 4 pitches. Now 2 outs and nobody on. Clemens comes right after him. Lee has 5 hits and 15 career at bats against Roger Clemens. Right at the shortstop, Eric Bruntlett, who makes it a 1-2-3 third, and it's 2-1 Cubs. Texas Ford dealers, league leaders, and we'll check out the 300 win matchups in history. Necro Sutton, Seaver Sutton, Necro Sutton, and Carlton Sutton. All back in '86 and '87. All those were American League matchups of 300 game winners. And the last matchup of 300 game winners in the National League was in 1892. Jeff Bagwell just took strike 1. He walked in the first inning.
I wonder if Milo did that game.
I think he did. Line drive left field. Bagwell makes a bid to tie it. He reaches the Landry's Crawford boxes, and it's tied at 2. Number 3 of the year for Bagwell.
Nice it would be to get his bat going right now and then get Berkman back in a week or so and have some veteran RBI leadership in the middle of that lineup.
Career home run number 449.
And he deserves a few like this one, Brownie, because he played so many years in the Astrodome where there were no cheap home runs at all.
Absolutely. Mike Lamb looks at ball 1.
Probably would have been a double in the Astrodome. It might have snuck out over that short inner fence.
The only first baseman in history with 400 homers, 200 steals. Home with the tying run. Changeup makes it 1 ball, 1 strike. Bagwell now has hit 7 career homers off Maddux. 449. 3 away from Carl Yastrzemski, a guy he grew up in the Boston area watching for the Red Sox. That will be a special time when he joins him.
I'll be happier when he goes by Canseco.
1 ball, 2 strikes. The old book sales are falling off for Jose from what we're reading. Maddux now has given up 5 long balls this year. He's in his 27th inning. Brings that one back and gets strike 3 call. His second strikeout. Been such a good pitch for him against left-handed batters over the years.
Yeah, they give up on it because he throws that cutter that comes in. And so they'll see a pitch coming in at their hands, and then they'll see another pitch that's further in, and they'll move back or just stay where they are, and then that ball will tail back and catch a corner like the one to Lamb.
You know, this game has even more significance historically than we have stated. It is actually the first time in the history of the National League the 300 game winners have met where the mound was 60 feet 6 inches in distance.
Oh yeah.
1892 it was only 50 feet. They changed it in 1893.
It used to be that you could hold your hand out and tell the pitcher where you wanted him to throw the pitch.
That was even before that.
But Galvin in that matchup. 1 ball, 2 strikes. So it's been from 1892 to 2005. And I wonder how long it'll be now until the next matchup. We'll disregard that there might be more this year between Clemens and Maddux.
I bet they don't change the pitcher's distance.
Maybe Perez throws out Jason Lane. 2 down. Morgan Ensberg follows. He struck out to end the first inning. The Astros leaving 2.
See what really helped Clemens in the last inning is that he had an easy inning. 1, 2, 3, probably doing about 10 pitches. He was standing on the base paths throughout that inning before that. Sometimes when a starting pitcher goes back out to the mound after running the bases, he can be a little bit vulnerable.
The difference in the National League aspect, and Maddux well knows that after all his many years in the National League. Clemens a part of an Astros pitching staff that's swinging the bat well this year.
When I was managing, if the other team got the pitcher on first base with nobody out, I'd say, okay, let's leave him on. Keep him on base the whole inning. So he has to go from there straight to the mound. And sometimes that happens, and oftentimes you can score.
Up the middle, it rolls to the second sacker. And Hairston throws out Ensberg. After the leadoff homer, Maddux retires the next 3. This game is now tied 2-2 through 3.
We're tied at 2 as the play moves to the 4th. Join Charles Schwab to support Astros in Action Hometown Heroes. Just log on to yourastros.com and click on Community to submit your nomination for someone who is really making a difference in your own community. Charles Schwab and your Astros teaming up to make a difference.
Roger Clemens throws strike 1 to Ramos Ramirez, who singled to center field in the second inning and came around to score. We are joined up here in the booth by Kim Mulkey Robertson, and she is the coach of the champion NCAA Baylor Lady Bears. Congratulations to you.
Thank you so much.
Well, we were not only impressed by that, but also your first pitch tonight. You've thrown a ball before. Yeah.
Well, you got to remember, guys, I was a 12-year-old All-Star in Dixie Youth, and I played 2 years of Pony League. I made All-Stars one of those years, so I've seen that little round ball before.
Listen, I didn't want to say anything, but I think you might be throwing it as fast as Maddux.
No. He doesn't throw blazing speed, but I can promise you I can't locate the pitches like he does.
Have you made it down to these games very often?
I have, not as much as I would like, but when I can, Mr. McLean certainly takes good care of me. He's a good Baylor guy, and we certainly love him.
That's a towering fly ball for out number 1. What was the toughest part of your season? Was there a particular time when your team was tested more?
Well, we opened up the year against LSU, who was ranked number 1 all year, and we lost a heartbreaker to them. And then, of course, we played them again in the Final Four in the semifinals. So we had a great year. 33-3. There's not much I can find to complain about.
You know, Brownie and I were with you that championship game. Our game ended, and we were able to watch that exciting conclusion when you won it all.
Well, we're living a dream, guys. Coaches coach a lifetime, as you all well know, and never have an opportunity to make a Final Four, let alone win a national championship. And to think what we've done in 5 short years since this staff's been in Waco, Texas, and at Baylor University.
Jeremy Burnett moves back 1-1. You're going to allow yourself to float on the clouds for a little bit longer?
A little bit longer, a little bit longer. This is the off season for coaches a little bit, and I'm going to spend time with my own children following their ball games.
That'd be a big thrill for your players to line up along the first base line and be introduced before the game tonight.
Very, very flattering, nice. Our kids loved every moment of it.
Well, you know, you've got the Texas Sports Hall of Fame just right down the road from your university. You may end up with some kids that are in there. You may get in there yourself if you keep it up.
Well, we're very proud of our Hall of Fame there, being located in Waco, Texas. And, you know, I don't coach to get in Hall of Fames. I coach to win basketball games and develop young people. And if I can keep doing that, and the Hall of Fame comes in great. But honestly, I just love what I do.
Jeremy Burnett rips a double on one hop off the right field wall. He's 2 for 2 in this game now.
I wonder if there was a subliminal message being sent out that Phil Garner had to catch her opening pitch. As we know, Phil is from Tennessee, and you know that women's program at Tennessee.
Well, I know him quite well. Pat Summit was my Olympic coach in 1984, and we've had some battles through the years when I was a player, and then certainly last year in the Sweet 16, the disappointing loss.
And now you made it as a player and a coach. Which one was the bigger thrill?
I can't tell you that either one is bigger than the other, and I've been very fortunate to be around winners all my life, and I've learned how to win, and they're all equal. They're all the same.
1 ball and no strikes to Todd Hollinsworth, who doubled in a run. A little pop fly just barely inside the left field line. Tavares shades to right center on him. Pitch just outside. You like those seats down there behind home plate pretty well. You can see what's a strike and what's not a strike, can't you, Kim?
I do love them down there. It's an amazing view from there, but I like it up here as well. You get a perspective of the game, and down there you certainly feel like you're on the field with the players.
Sounds like if it has to do with sports, you like it.
You better believe it, buddy. I love athletics. I love sports. I married an old quarterback. My children love sports. What else is there in life?
You can certainly get immersed in it.
You know, you got a pretty good men's baseball team playing at Baylor. We're going to show them in the air tomorrow here against Texas Tech.
You better believe we do. We're very proud of Steve Smith and the job the baseball team has done, and our softball team is ranked. We know our tennis team won the national championship last year. They're ranked #1 in the country. We have so many great coaches at Baylor and programs right now.
Tavares over to left center. And he tucks that one away for out number 2. Michael Barrett comes up next. It just must be really something to try to bring a team to a peak right there at tournament time. And how do you do that anyway? How did it work for you?
Well,
that
if
way?
I could give you the magic answer and bottle it up, I'd sell it and I'd quit coaching tomorrow.
No, you wouldn't.
No, you're right. You're right. I wouldn't. The amazing story, guys, is really what we've done in a short period of time. It's unheard of. It's almost I don't want to use the word miracle, but you don't win a national championship in 5 years inheriting a team that won 7 basketball games. But we've just been very fortunate in getting sleepers and recruiting.
You didn't do it with luck either.
Well, Kim, congratulations to you. Thanks so much for joining us.
Guys, I have thoroughly enjoyed being up here with y'all.
Nice to
Thank
meet
you so much.
Good luck.
You do a good job yourselves.
Thank you. 2-2 ball game in the 4th. It's the Cubs 2, the Astros 2. Total of 9 hits in this one as the bottom of the 4th begins with Eric Brundlett. Greg Maddux just missing ball 1.
Well, at least he knows where the strike zone is now, because he keeps trying to throw that pitch and he's not getting it called. Not even once.
1 ball, 1 strike. He had a little chat as he came out to the mound for the home 3rd inning with the home plate umpire, Rob Drake.
I think that last pitch was moving back toward the plate. Just about in the same place.
To shallow right field, Hairston out. 1 out. Now the Astros' upcoming schedule is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Tomorrow at 6, no television. Kerry Wood, Brandon Backey, and then Chicago and Houston again on Sunday at 1 o'clock on the Astros television network. Mark Pryor and Roy Oswalt for that one. The Pittsburgh Pirates are in Monday through Wednesday nights. And those games will come your way on FSN Houston. Tonight, the opener of a 6-game homestand for the Astros, who are trying to snap a 5-game losing streak after an 0-5 road trip. Brad Ausmus. Here's strike one. Brad singled to right field on a 1-2 pitch. He punched it between first and second in the second inning. The Astros had been shut out 5 times in the last 14 games when they took the field tonight. They're 8-12. Bouncer, and Hairston moves over in front of it. Makes the accurate throw, 2 down. Our Aflac trivia question will keep us stumped tonight. Well, Larry might be able to get this one. Greg gets a few too, so maybe we've got a shot. What former Astro was twice victim to a 3,000th strikeout?
That's one of those you know because you've known it once.
I agree.
How about Cesar Geronimo?
Oh yeah, that's a good guess.
I think that's right. You got it, Gibson.
I think Seaver, is that possible?
Seaver might be there.
There's strike one, but the other one I'm not sure. Roger Clemens wielded the bat very effectively with a single past the diving third baseman in the second inning. 0-2. Both these teams' pitching staffs are atop the league in slugging percentage by pitching staffs. They are ranked 1 and 2. Little dribbler. Ramirez will back off. It's a fair ball. It's a hit. And Clemens is 2 for 2.
Little slugger. Both of them right down the third baseline.
It hit the bag. Well, the only chance Ramirez had was for that ball to go foul.
That's all. That's why whenever you see something like that, you wonder how anyone can ever pitch a no-hitter.
This is also another reason
throw
why
a good pitch. The guy barely hits it at all. He still gets a hit.
Another reason why, if you just go by statistics and don't actually see how the game is played, you're going to have some wrong impressions.
Oh, yes, you are. So Roger Clemens is 2 for 2. Willie Taveras, the batter. That's ball 1.
You can look down at a sheet sometimes and it'll say this guy was 3 for 7 off that guy. And I mentioned something like that to Juan Augusto years ago and his matchups with Kirk Gibson, another left-handed hitter, and he said he never hit one out of the infield on me. Not even out of the infield. But he could still have 3 hits because he was a fast runner.
2 balls, no strikes. Thank Kim Mulkey Robertson of the Baylor Lady Bears for being on with us. And now it's 3-0 for Willie Taveras.
How come we never had coaches that look like that?
We're just not lucky, are we?
Not in that way.
The Astros have won 25 of their last 27 home games. It's 3-1. We were never allowed to go out for a women's basketball team, Dirk.
That's a good point.
They didn't have women's basketball teams when we were in school. Ramos Ramirez will go to second for the force play. And in the 4th inning, no runs, a hit. A man stranded through 4. It's 2-2 tie. On this good night here at Minute Maid Park, our Aflac trivia question will tell us about Cesar Geronimo being the victim of the 3,000th strikeout twice. Cesar Geronimo was that guy, Greg. You got it?
Well, that's fortunate because we were all 3 so confident. It was a good thing that's what came up.
Yeah, and now we're confident that Yvette Caceres-Willis is alongside us up in the booth. Hey.
Hi, how are you?
Good. How are you doing tonight?
Doing great tonight. Hi, Larry.
Hi. Are you in training yet for your race?
May 1st.
May 1st you start training. Well, that's only a couple days from now, so you
2 days.
Getting geared up for to eat and relax for the next 2 days before you train.
Absolutely. I guess you're going to hold me to it, huh?
We're going to hold you to it. You're on
Okay.
record. You're out there. You're TiVoed with this, and everybody knows about it.
Great.
And this series, the game one, what a matchup as Greg Maddux goes to the first pitch and pops it up. Jeff Bagwell over into foul territory. One pitch and he got him. So we got game two very quickly tomorrow night at 6:05 with the Astros meeting the Cubs. And what are we featuring for that game, Yvette?
We've got some mouse pads that have the Astros schedule on it. We're giving them away to the first 20,000 fans, and the sponsor is Time Warner Cable. Very handy.
Oh, it's
Buy
right
your
there.
tickets online.
Right there every day for you when you get on that computer. That's great. And then Sunday, the finale of this series. That's a special day.
We've got two big things going on, or actually three big things that we talked about today.
Gary Hairston takes strike one.
Well, we talked about the autograph session.
And Larry's involved with that?
Yes, Larry Drucker and Jimmy Wynn before the game out at the Nine Amigos patio. That's happening pregame. And that is sponsored by Bastion Technologies.
That's a great chance for the fans who get here early on Sunday to get those free autographs.
And then the first 5,000 adults will receive an Astros Shooting Star t-shirt.
Oh, we saw one of those today. There it is. There's your lovely model.
Yes. Those are good looking shirts, and those will be given away on Sunday, May the 1st from Bastion Technologies.
Probably a few people around here that think they're Astros fans that have never seen that uniform.
Yeah.
I think it goes back to maybe early 70s.
You know that logo.
Yeah. Just
He
before
liked-
the rainbow parfait uniforms became so popular.
Oh, I'm sure we'll bring those back too. And then after
Yeah,
the game,
probably will.
Yeah.
Kids Run the Bases,
Oh,
ages
yeah.
5 to 15. M&M Mars is the sponsor for Kids Run the Bases.
Ground ball. Now that Bastion Technologies, haven't heard of that one before, but that T-shirt there was kind of the last bastion of sanity for a while before the orange uniforms
Before
came in,
all
right?
the rainbow versions, variations of the rainbow.
Bad as our uniforms were back then, there were teams that had worse.
Yeah.
I think the 70s was the worst decade of all that I can remember in
No,
terms
but they're
of
very
style
popular.
and fashion.
The retro look is very
Yeah.
popular.
That was kind of the uniforms gone wild era.
Speaking in today's terminology.
Yeah. 1 and 2. And then the Pirates are in Monday through Wednesday. What do you have lined up for those games?
Actually, this is a really neat deal that we're doing after the game in Halliburton Plaza. The Coca-Cola Lime truck will be here. You've heard about Coke with Lime.
Uh-huh.
Giving away samples of the new drink.
Oh.
And we're not talking just little tiny cup samples, a full-size sample.
Oh, really? Like a
So people
12
need
ounce?
to exit out towards Crawford Street to
Uh-huh.
see the Lime-mobile, what we named it, the Lime-mobile, and get a Coke with Lime sample. And that's Tuesday, Monday, and Tuesday
So that's before? No, it's after the game.
after the game.
On your way out,
On your way out.
get that Coke with Lime. It's right out there by the Biggio and Bagwell statues
That's right.
at Halliburton Plaza. Hit hard and past a diving Morgan Ensberg. A single by Hairston. And the Cubs get their 5th hit. He's aboard with 1 out now. And also, you've got some big events coming up later in May.
Right, and I'm gonna go ahead and talk about the Jimmy Wynn figurine. First 10,000 fans are gonna get this really neat figurine from Decker, and it's the first one of 5 figurines, so you've got to collect all 5.
Oh, yeah.
Isn't that nice looking
The
figurine?
toy cannon. That is nice.
And we're celebrating the different eras.
And that's going to be May 14th.
Saturday, May the 14th, when we play the Giants.
Nathan Perez grounds 1 foul. And can you give us a clue as to the other figurines in that set?
Yes, the next one will be Nolan Ryan.
Ah.
Then the next one will be Jose Cruz. And you can imagine, and you can probably guess what jerseys they'll be in. Nolan Ryan, Jose
Those,
Cruz,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, those.
Jeff Bagwell, and Lance Berkman. What a set, huh?
That's a great set. Ooh, he almost picked him off.
Just about did. He had him struck out before he got that hit too, but the backdoor slider, I think, fooled the umpire and fooled the hitter both, and it was called a ball. 2 pitches later, he got a base hit to left.
Really close. And he's working on him hard. And then in late May, here's a big race coming up for all the runners.
Race, the 3rd annual race for the pennant.
Yeah.
And we are excited about this race. You know, we always have a great turnout. It is going to be Saturday, May the 28th.
Is that what you're training for?
She's training for a much longer race. Whoa, here's Bagwell throwing, and Eric Brundtland back to Bagwell. They picked him off.
I was wondering how long it would take for a team to do that, Brownie. I don't know that they did that on purpose, but it is conceivable that with a fast runner you could run early and let yourself get picked off and then hope that Bagwell wouldn't be able to throw the ball to second. But Brundtland came and got that ball, and it turned into a pretty easy play.
Sure did. And Brundtland picked that up on the short hop. He did a really nice job in the middle of that play. Harrison kind of hesitated once he broke. And that's out number 2 now. Ricky Perez grounds one, and that's just foul. What race? You're going to run in a marathon, aren't you?
I'm running the New York Marathon.
The New York Marathon.
Whoa!
So this 5K is small peanuts for you.
No, it's a great race. It's fun. It's a fun run. You know, if you're competitive, that's great. But if you just want to come out and support, you know, we have a new partner here, the Methodist Hospital. And so they're teaming up with us, and we're going to do this race for the pennant, and all the proceeds go to the Astros in Action Foundation.
Great. And, you know, for most of us sedentary types, that's like a marathon, 5K. That's a long way.
It is. I wish you guys could be here, but you'll be on the road.
Oh, shucks. We won't be able to train for that, Larry.
It's all right, just as long as the Methodist Hospital brings its hospital mobile along with me while I'm running.
That's true. That's a great sponsor. And, of course, the latest to spend the night there, Jose Vizcaíno last night. So that's a great sponsor for the Astros
they
players.
They're a wonderful sponsor of ours. We really enjoy working. They do a lot for the community, and we do a lot for the community, so we're a great team. I might have to get you guys to work it, so you would have maybe been okay.
We could stand there at the finish line. Strike 3. That's a great ending. And Yvette, thanks for telling us about the upcoming events on the Astros calendar.
It's nice to see you. Thank you.
Good
See
luck
you
with your
next time.
training.
Thank you.
2-2 ball game right here, middle of the 5th inning. Cubs 2, Astros 2, middle of the 5th inning. The fans settling in to enjoy a dandy ball game. Craig Biggio leads it off in the home 5th inning. And Greg Maddux deals a little bit high. Ball 1. Biggio 0 for 2. He's hit the ball in the air both times. Bagwell and Lamb to follow in the Astros 5th. They've out hit the Cubs 6-5. That lazy fly ball moves Corey Patterson over to his left. And that's one out here in the 5th.
Hey, don't forget tonight on the Busch Light Southwest Sports Report after the game, what changes will Jeff Van Gundy make after the Rockets lost to the Mavericks last night? The Texans started their rookie minicamp today. You'll hear the latest, and we'll also have a wrap-up from our game against the Cubs. All of that and a whole lot more on a Houston edition of the Busch Light Southwest Sports Report tonight at 10 here on FSN Houston.
Jeff Bagwell has walked, and he's homered. He takes strike 1. His 7th career homer off Maddux came in the 3rd inning, and that ties the one pitcher high for Jeff. He's homered 7 times off Bobby J. Jones and 7 times off Pedro Estacio. It's 1 ball, 1 strike. Jeff now has 37 career long balls against Chicago Cubs pitchers. Fly ball near the right field line. Burnett's over. 2 outs for Maddux. And that duel that many fans were hoping for never materialized between the Cardinals and the Atlanta Braves. It's 6-5 now after 6 at Turner Field. St. Louis leading it. Mark Mulder has given up 5 runs in 6 innings. Tim Hudson has given up 6 runs in 6 innings. Mike Lamb with an RBI double in 2 trips.
All I can say is those 2 guys must be pitching a lot differently tonight than they were when they were pitching against the Astros, because part of it was the Astros' inability to hit, but a good part of it was the quality of the pitching they faced in Mulder and Hudson.
Sure was. That tap goes to the first sacker, Derek Lee. And it's an easy 5th inning for Maddux, keeping the game tied 2-2. Houston Astros baseball on FSN Houston is being brought to you by your Texas area Ford dealers, by Whataburger, by Pennzoil, by Nissan, and by Southwest Airlines. Inside Minute Maid Park, Roger Clemens has had 6 one-pitch at-bats. And through 5 innings, it's the Cubs 2, the Astros 2. The 6th inning opens with Corey Patterson. He has whiffed both times in this game.
Put it into that.
Yep.
First pitch out, though.
That's number 7.
They've only thrown 64 pitches so far. I'm not sure how many Maddux has thrown, but not many more than that. So they both should be strong as this game moves along into the later innings.
Comfortable night for pitching. A little on the humid side, though. 73% humidity. Derek Lee walked and scored in the 2nd. He grounded out in the 3rd. Lee has been hitting the ball where it's been pitched this season. That's a tough one. Strike 1.
If he was going to hit that one where it was pitched, he'd have to hit it right down the first baseline.
Yes, he would. Such good location. We've been seeing it all season long again. Sharp breaking ball. 0-2.
That's power pitching stuff. When you throw that slider 84, 85 miles an hour like Rogers doing, and fastball 93, 94, it's just like it was a young kid out there throwing. In fact, we've remarked several times when they say that, say Chad Qualls or Harville or some of these guys have a power arm and they can throw the ball 93, 94 miles an hour, and here comes Roger at 42 and he's throwing even harder.
It's been amazing to watch. Check swing call by Elias Diaz. Lee held up and it's 2-2. Clemens, of course, had another big strikeout year last season, whiffing 218 in 214 innings. 2nd on the all-time strikeout list. He threw 126 pitches in his last start. That was at St. Louis. He's had an extra day of rest because of the off day since then. 3-2. That was that 10-inning duel with Mulder. Roger went 7 innings. Lee hits it toward the right field corner. A long sprint for Lane. And Lane.
Fair ball too, and he got it. When he gets down that close to the foul line, deep into right field or left field, we can't see it from here. So you're not sure what happened until you look at this replay, but obviously he was on a dead run. The ball was fair. If he hadn't caught it, it would have been an extra base hit, and I wouldn't be surprised if Lee had been able to make it all the way to 3rd on that if he hadn't caught it.
He might have. That's well done by Jason Lane for the 2nd out. Aramis Ramirez is the batter now. He's 1 for 2. Singled and scored in the 2nd inning. And he goes to his knees, fouling that pitch, strike 1. Another point to be made on that good catch by Jason Lane. If he had run into the wall the way he did and the ball had dropped out of his glove, that's not a catch. That ball's in play, and Lee definitely makes it to 3rd if that happens. It doesn't matter how many steps he takes after he catches the ball. If he runs into a wall and the ball comes out of his glove, then that's not a catch.
And it's not like football where if the field knocks the ball out of your hand, it's not a fumble. And in baseball, if you run into something, you've got to maintain control of the ball.
Ramirez, quite a boost for the Cubs last year. Also a better defensive player. He hits a drive to right center, hanging up for Lane. And Lane handles out number 3. The Cubs go out in the 6th inning thanks to Lane's fine play in the right field corner as the game remains tied at 2. It's the Cubs 2, the Astros 2. Bottom of the 6th inning. Jason Lane made that good running catch on Derek Lee in the top of the inning. Will be the leadoff man in this frame. He is 0 for 2. Maddux delivers ball one. The Astros are next to last in runs scored in the National League. 1 ball, 1 strike. Hoping that they can get some hitters turned around on this homestand. They won 25 of their last 27 regular season games. They're 7-2 at home this year, 1-10 on the road in a topsy-turvy start to the year. That one will go foul.
You guys just aren't holding up your end of the bargain when you go on the road.
No, we're not. 1-10. That's got to require a lot of good work at home to overcome that kind of a road start. And the next road trip will go to Atlanta and Florida.
We're going to face some tough pitching again.
You know it. Time call by Lane. So by then, some of these guys might get hot on the homestand, and maybe in Atlanta, Lance Berkman will be back in the lineup. That could make a big difference. 2 balls, 2 strikes, and neither of these clubs has used the injury crutch. Cubs have their injury problems as well. Garcia Parra, Todd Walker, 2 of their big linchpins offensively. Some pitchers are on the DL. Borowski, Fox, Scott Williamson. Lane is down on strikes.
Best Damn Sports Show period is the greatest sports show on television with host Chris Rose and co-host John Sally. Tonight the guys will preview this weekend's NASCAR race at Talladega with defending champion Jeff Gordon. Plus Portland guard Damon Stoudemire drops by to break down the NBA playoffs. That's the Best Damn Sports Show period tonight at 11 p.m. on FSN Houston and 10:30 for the folks watching on FSN Southwest.
Morgan Ensberg 0 for 2. Looks at ball 1. Florida leads at Philadelphia 6-4. Phillies batting bottom of the 8th. The Phillies have scored twice in the 8th inning, and they're still batting. It's 2-0. Damian Easley hit number 1. Juan Encarnacion number 4. Miguel Cabrera number 4 for the Fish. Chase Utley number 3 for the Phils. There's that pitch right in there. 2 balls and a strike.
Had some pitches to hit, but they have not offered that. He's been pitching upstairs a little bit more than he'd probably like to.
There's 3-1.
He also keeps making that pitch that he practices all the time, and I'm thinking he's going to get called strikes, and the umpire's calling it a ball. So sometimes you do what you intend to do, and it doesn't work out the way you think it should.
The Braves fine pitching coach Leo Mazzoni saw Maddux practicing pitching from the stretch in the bullpen quite a bit one day. Line shot to center field. That's in for a hit for Morgan Ensberg. Kicked on the 3-1, and the Astros get hit number 7. And he asked him, why are you throwing so many pitches from the stretch? He said, my most important pitches in the game are going to be from the stretch.
And as with most highly successful people, he works at it a lot. One day we went over to do a game at Disney, and you have to walk past their batting cage to walk through the center field fence to get into the park and to the locker room. And when we walked by, he was in the cage practicing with bunting.
Grunlett takes strike 1.
So about a half an hour, 40 minutes later, I realized that I'd left something in the car, and I went back to the car to get it, and he was still in the cage bunting.
Really? It's a long bunting session.
But it was, you know, not that he was probably free to go an hour before that. He was just staying out there on his own.
Roll to shortstop. Maybe Perez shovels. Hairston guns, and the Cubs get a double play. 6-4-3, their 25th of the year, to end the 6th inning and keep the score tied at 2. It's the Cubs 2, the Astros 2 after 6 at Minute Maid Park in Houston, and our Diamond Notes are brought to you by Diamond Shamrock. Wade Miller had a good first rehab game in the minor leagues for the Boston Red Sox. Didn't give up any runs. He might need only one more rehab start before joining the Boston rotation. Hudson and Mulder tonight have given up 11 runs combined in their game, and Tony Gwynn has been suspended for criticizing the scheduling in the Mountain West Conference, and he apologized for that. Jeremy Burnitz has had 2 hits in this game. There's strike 1 to Jeremy. And he's been a nice replacement, they're saying, in Chicago for Sammy Sosa in right field. Going quietly about his business. No balls, 2 strikes.
And he's been a good solid player for a long time. He's not been at the very top of the hitting list, but he's usually somewhere between 25 and 35 homers and around 90, 100, sometimes a little bit more in RBIs. Durable, not real fast, but he catches what he can get to, and he's got a good throwing arm.
He does. 1 ball, 2 strikes. 41,232 fans came to Minute Maid Park to see a matchup of 300 game winners. Clemens and Maddux, a sellout crowd. Still a 1 ball, 2 strike count. Well, as you know, Sosa had an off year last year. And then the final day of the season, you also know that in the 2nd inning he left the ballpark. And apparently his famous boombox was smashed into pieces there at his locker after he left. So there evidently were some hard feelings among his teammates. And it became a question of whether that relationship between Dusty Baker and Sammy could have existed on a good footing this year. And both parties decided to move on. And so Sosa now is off to a pretty good start with Baltimore. And yet with Sosa and Moises Alou both leaving after last season, people were looking at the home runs and runs batted in that those guys normally deliver in a season. And that's some big shoes to fill there.
Well, it is, and you can't always fill them with a guy that can hit as much, but sometimes you can fill them with a guy that can hit almost as much and maybe cover a little more ground defensively or steal a few bases or do something to help prevent the team from continuing to struggle offensively.
So Burnett's a left-handed hitter moving in there. It gives them a little bit different makeup in the lineup. And Hollingsworth, another left-handed hitter, playing left field tonight. It's different.
They're featuring left-handers on this team this year. They got 4 left-handed relievers.
Yeah. Full count delivery. High drive right field. Burnitz really gets into this one. It's hooking, and it is a fair ball, a go-ahead home run by Jeremy Burnitz. A high shot up on the right field foul pole. And Burnitz is now 3 for 3 in this game. That's his 5th home run. 2nd RBI of the game, gives him 16, and the Cubs lead it 3-2.
The 2nd home run off Clemens this year. Clearly fair and way back there. That would have been out of any ballpark.
Jeremy Burnitz takes the tour, and the Cubs lead by 1. Hollingsworth looks at ball 1. Cubs now have hit 29 home runs. They lead the National League in long balls. And he has certainly been welcomed in Chicago with that kind of hitting. 2 balls and no strikes. Lee has 7. Corey Patterson 5. Now Burnitz 5. Ramirez has 4. Pretty good distribution throughout the lineup of Cubs power. At the knees, it's 2-1. Up the middle, Bruntley was positioned well for the first out. Now our Geico quote comes from Roger Clemens. Here's what he had to say about Greg Maddux. I've always said Greg was a guy I'd pay to watch. He's had a great career, and he's one of those guys going to tear the jersey off. Yeah. Maddux is not talking about retiring anytime soon. Maddux is 39. Clemens is 42.
If I had to tear somebody's jersey off, I'd rather tear Maddux's than Clemens.
Yeah. Michael Barrett's 0 for 2. That's ball 1 to him. Down the short line to first base. The Cubs have a potential pinch hitter in the on-deck circle. Maddux is not out there in the 7th inning in the on-deck circle. It doesn't mean they'll pinch hit for him. That's a foul ball. Ball and strike. Well, Maddux is there in the dugout. Larry Rothschild, the pitching coach, talking it over with him. And meanwhile, in the on-deck circle is Ben Grieve. Grieve just joined the Cubs. Has a couple of pinch hits and 3 at-bats already. It's 2 balls and a strike. The Cubs with those 4 southpaws in the bullpen really loaded that way. And with Troy Hawkins. And he's been their closer, but now they're going with a closer by committee. Foul back. Chad Fox had a couple of closing opportunities, but then he was hurt a few days ago. So we're not totally sure who the Cubs closer would be if they have that opportunity tonight. Michael Wirtz is throwing right now. As Clemens is due up second for the Astros in the bottom of this inning. Line to second. Biggio there. 2 outs. And it is going to be Ben Grieve pinch hitting for Greg Maddux. So as Grieve comes up, it's his first year with the Chicago Cubs. And now they've made a change. They're going with Jason Du Bois instead of Grieve. Now, question being, was Grieve announced into this game? He may not have been announced. If he had been announced, then he's been used and he can't be used again.
Well, there's a distinction to be made there because and this happened to us once and cost us a few runs. If the PA announcer announces you, you're still not in the game,
right,
unless the umpire calls you into the game.
Right.
And the PA announcer here has several times, many times really, just announced the pinch hitter as he walks up there before the umpire actually puts him in the game.
And that doesn't mean he's in the game. You're right. Just because the PA announcer comes out with his name over the PA. Du Bois smacks one fair into the corner, and he heads for second base. Mike Lamb picks it up. There's a pinch double for Jason Du Bois. Dusty Baker decided to go with a right-handed hitter instead of the lefty Grieve.
Grieve is his only left-handed hitter. We've got Messias, but he's a switch hitter.
Yeah,
and not much of a power hitter. So he obviously wanted to keep Grieve for a situation later on that might be more suited to his skills.
So there's a pinch double by Du Bois. That's the Cubs' 5th pinch hit of the year in 28 at bats. Greg Maddux threw 87 pitches, 55 were strikes, and he leaves in a position to be the winning pitcher. Jerry Hairston 1 for 3 in this game. He singled to left in the 5th. That's ball 1. So it's based on the umpire pointing to the player in the on-deck circle. That's when he's in the game. If he points to the guy, no matter what the PA announcer does, that player's in the game.
A distinction that most managers will probably learn the hard way. Because the PA announcer is not just here, all over the place they do it. They anticipate the pitch hitter because they see him in the on-deck circle, and when he starts walking up there, they announce him.
The intricacies of the game. Looked like a pretty good breaking ball. It's ball 2. Jerry Hairston Jr. His father played 14 years in the majors, 13 of them for the White Sox. And his grandfather Sam played for the Orioles. Sam was the first African American to play for the Orioles, so he is a 3rd generation major leaguer.
The Boones and the Bells.
Yeah. 3 balls and a strike. Jerry is 28. And he was obtained in the Sammy Sosa deal along with another infielder. He went to Southern Illinois, and he was born in Illinois. 94 pitches for the Rocket. There's a walk. Runners at first and second. 2 outs now for Neifi Perez.
And Rogers due to come up second when the Astros hit the bottom of the 7th. And now Jim Hickey's going to go out and talk to him. I don't know if this is anything other than just having him stop and take a breather and start again. The Astros don't have anybody seriously throwing in the bullpen right now.
Well, Springer's taking his time.
It's been a long inning for him, 22 pitches.
They'll use all the time until that home plate umpire, Rob Drake, gets out. Now he's closing in on the mound, and they break up the conference. Meanwhile, Clemens and Ausmus are talking a little bit further. Neifi Perez seldom walks. He's usually going to be hacking at anything close. 0 for 3 in this game. It's been a 22-pitch inning for Roger Clemens. That's his high pitch count in an inning in this game. Perez looks at ball 1.
Hasn't been throwing his fastball too much in this inning either. Mostly splits, sliders.
Popped up, but it won't be in play for Morgan Ensberg or Brad Ausmus. Goes into this big crowd of 41,232. 1 ball, 1 strike. Neifi Perez is from the Dominican Republic. I already talked about the good years he had with the Rockies, and he drove in 70 runs for them in '99. 71 the next year. He won a Gold Glove in 2000 as well. Line drive right field. Jason Lane coming hard and sliding. He got there.
Oh, play.
Second outstanding catch of the game for Jason Lane, and this one comes with 2 men on. Well, the final out in the 7th inning. He gets there and slides, gets a glove underneath it, and there it is for the umpire. The Cubs got the Burnett's home run. 1 run, 2 hits, 2 left. They lead it 3-2 in the 7th. It's Cubs 3, the Astros 2 at 7th inning stretch time at Minute Maid Park in downtown Houston. What's on tap with the Astros is brought to you by Budweiser. Tomorrow at 6 o'clock, it's Kerry Wood and Brandon Backey. Matchup of right-handers who have 1-1 records. And then that's tomorrow night's game, not offered on television. And Sunday we'll be back on the Astros television network with game 3 of this series. Roy Oswalt will go against Mark Pryor. Here is Michael Wirtz. He's 1-1 with a 2.70 ERA. In 10 innings, he's walked 4, struck out 10. And he comes in with that 1-run lead to face Brad Ausmus, who's 1 for 2.
Well, this guy got into 31 games with them last year and averaged a strikeout an inning at that time, too. Ooh, boy, that's a wicked breaking ball.
Sure is.
Almost looks like a knuckle curve.
Went straight down.
29 innings last year, 30 strikeouts. 1-1 with a 242 in 37 games at AAA last year.
He hits the top of the zone, and quickly it's 0-2. Luke Scott on deck. The pinch hit for Roger Clemens, it would appear. On Tuesday, Wirtz lost to the Reds in 2/3 of an inning, allowing 2 hits, 3 runs, 2 earned. He gets a strikeout here on 3 sliders. And it'll be Luke Scott now trying to snap an 0 for 21 slump. Been out with a sore shoulder. He was down to start one of the games in Pittsburgh and scratched from the lineup. A 154 hitter with 1 RBI. He's had 39 at bats with 6 hits. As a pinch hitter, he is 0 for 2.
Swinging the bat real well today in batting practice. That doesn't mean that much, but sometimes it means maybe just a little more confidence.
Yeah, and that's what he's been looking for, trying to stay confident and stay positive through this slump. 0 for 2 as a pinch hitter.
If you put what he did in the spring together with what he's done during the season, it wouldn't look so bad.
That's true.
But they don't let you do that.
98 pitches for Roger Clemens, 66 for strikes. You mean they don't let you gerrymander your statistics the way you want to make yourself look good?
Well, it usually depends on your agent to do that.
Oh. Well, he took that pitch, ball two. He's been a little jumpy, some think, at the plate, swinging at some marginal pitches. He's very relaxed this spring and put up those big numbers to lead the club in a lot of categories, including homers and runs batted in. And hit 368. He's looking pretty well locked in here on what's a strike and what's a ball, and it's 3-1. Well, of course, the difficult thing about Luke Scott's situation is he's looking at pitchers for the first time. Three and two as Wirtz throws a 91-mile-per-hour fastball with pretty good movement to the corner. Luke Scott drove in 97 runs last year between Class A Salem and Double A Round Rock. He stays alive here. 3 balls, 2 strikes. Cubs bullpen has an ERA of 4.27 and has struggled to close games. 4 saves in 7 save opportunities. That was a major problem for the Chicago team last year.
Well, so far this year, their team earned run average is a full point above the Astros. That's a run every game, and they're still 11 and 10.
That's a pinch walk for Luke Scott. Nice job. He reaches with 1 out.
Same type of pitch that he has swung at a couple of times recently.
Yes, it is. Willie Taveras is 1 for 3. Reached on an infield hit in the first. And then he came home after stealing second to score on a Mike Lamb double. 26-year-old Michael Wirtz is from Austin, Minnesota. He had 19 saves at AAA Iowa last year. Strike for Wirtz. Chad Fox came back for an exam on his right elbow. He's had Tommy John surgery a couple of times already. And he lives in this area, but then he's going to go see Dr. James Andrews, who I believe is based in Atlanta, for a look at that elbow to see what the latest evaluation is on Chad, who was being given a shot as the Cubs closer.
It'd be nice to see him come back and stay healthy for a while. He's a really nice young man, and he lives here in Houston. On the tournament, memory of his brother every year, and he loves the game as much as anybody, but the game hasn't been too kind to his right elbow.
That's funny about what that game will do to your elbow and the shoulder sometimes, isn't it?
Say.
2 balls, 2 strikes. Astros trailing 3-2 here in the 7th inning. Taveras looks at ball 1. Florida beat Philadelphia 6-4. A.J. Burnett goes to 3-1 with a victory over Randy Wolf, who's 1-3. Todd Jones got save number 1. Barrett spread around toward first base. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
Wirtz is slow to the plate. In a 1-4 to 1-5 time, and a good base stealer would have gone already.
He gets a strikeout of Taveras. 2 down. Greg Biggio next. He's 0 for 3.
Good hard slider. Good location.
Wirtz made 4 appearances last year against the Astros, giving up 1 run in 3 innings. That run came on a squeeze bunt by Orlando Palmeiro. Jeff Bagwell on deck as Biggio tries to keep the 7th inning alive. Fly ball left field. Hollingsworth. In the 7th for Houston, no runs, no hits, a runner stranded. And after 7, the Cubs are in front by 1, 3-2. Here's our higher standards game recap brought to you by Bank of America, the official bank of baseball. Mike Lamb gets a run scoring double to right field in the 1st inning, and the Astros take a 1-0 lead. But now the Cubs tie it on a Jeremy Burnett's loop single over shortstop. They take the lead on a Todd Hollingsworth pop fly double, just fair. It's 2-1 Chicago. And then Jeff Bagwell ties it with home run number 3 of the year, number 449 of his career. And Jeremy Burnett's sends the Cubs out in front. Just fair to right field. He is 3 for 3 in this game. Now Russ Springer comes in with the Cubs leading at 3-2 to pitch the 8th inning. Patterson, Lee, and Ramirez due up. 3, 4, 5 hitters as Springer comes in with an 0-1 record. Larry.
He pitched pretty well. His ERA is down to the low 3s. The problem that he's had in the past is that his fastball is a four-seam strikeout fly ball type fastball, and sometimes he gives up the long ball, and against this club that would be what you'd worry about, but he has had pretty good control this year.
Faces Corey Patterson, who struck out twice and bounced out. He gets a first pitch curve, and it's strike 1.
Well, this is pretty much fastball curveball until this year, and he's added a changeup and a slider. The slider looks particularly promising to me. It's short and quick and offers a different speed on a breaking ball than what hitters are used to.
This is inside. 1 ball, 1 strike, and in that Atlanta series, he got a big double play ball here on Brian Jordan. Last outing Sunday against the Cardinals, he threw 35 pitches in 2 innings. He pitched hitless ball, dodged a couple of walks, and had a strikeout.
Here's that slider.
Got in on him, and Biggio makes a nice short hop. Whoa! And Bagwell saves him a throwing error by making the tag on Corey Patterson.
Oh, brother.
Threw a little changeup over there. And we thought the hard part of the play was this part, Larry.
Yeah, if he'd broken right away, could have caught it in the air.
Barely got him.
He slowed down a little
yes,
bit, too. He wouldn't have had him if he hadn't slowed down.
Nope. Bagwell's made several tags on runners to save throwing errors this year already. Derek Lee is 0 for 2 with a walk. There's Springer with strike 1 on a 94-mile-per-hour fastball. Russ has been sinking the ball a little bit more in certain situations, like that Jordan double play ball here. It's 1-1 for the native of Louisiana.
He's got a good live arm, always has had. Got that four-seam fastball that he can sometimes throw by hitters upstairs. He spins the ball pretty well, too.
It's 2 balls and 1 strike. Russ really likes the makeup of the Astros bullpen, the competitors. Roger Clemens in 7 innings allowed 7 hits, 3 runs, 2 walks, 4 strikeouts. And falls behind. It's 3 balls and a strike to Derek Lee.
A pretty good pitch. Most hitters would have swung at that one. He walked 14 times already. Walked his first time tonight.
Driven deep to left center field. Willie Taveras looking. That's off the bullpen wall. Lee heads for second base. And he rattled the fence with a double. That's Lee's 9th 2-base hit of the year. It extends his hitting streak to 11 games. He could easily have 2 doubles or a double and a triple in this game.
Look how close he came to a home run just to the left of the yellow line. If he'd gone to the right of it, it's out of here.
Yep.
If the pitch had been a little farther in, he would have pulled it more and it would have been out of there that way too. I think he's in probably the best stretch of hitting he's ever had in his career, and he's been a good hitter the last 4 or 5 years.
Sure has, but he's just doing everything well right now. Leads the league in total bases. You can see why with all the power that he can bring to that swing. Very angular player. A lot of leverage.
Scored 20 runs now already this year.
He's at second for Aramis Ramirez, who's 1 for 3. This is a big potential run here in this game, with the Cubs leading by 1 in the 8th inning. Lee's dancing off second base. Springer makes a throw. Oh, Biggio failed to make a catch. Looked like it might have been a fairly close play,
It
but
would have been pretty close. I think he would have made it, but at that point, when you're pitching, you just hope that they stop it and not let it get through into the outfield and allow an advance.
they wouldn't have had him.
Trying to keep him close enough to where if Ramirez gets a hard single right at one of the outfielders, they might have a chance to throw him out. They might be hoping for something that they can't do anyway, because of those long legs, Lee can move from base to base in a hurry.
If he could steal third here with 1 out, that could be a big play. 1 ball, no strikes. He stole 12 bases last year, but he stole 21 the year before. 2-0.
Well, this is real slow, like 1-6 to the plate on that pitch.
Jeremy Burnitz is on deck. The Astros have a right-hander warming up in the bullpen. To center field, that loops in front of Taveras for a hit. Lee's coming home. Taveras throw to the plate. Oh! What a throw by Willie Taveras. Gunning down Derek Lee.
Oh, brother.
On the fly and on the money to Brad Ausmus. Taveras goes to second, but that is a big play.
That's a huge play. Reminds me of that one Beltran made last year in the playoffs, or at the end of the year when he did the somersault after he threw it. And it was there in time. Brad put the tag down. You can't make this play unless you have Taveras type speed, because he took off at the outset and came and got that ball and got rid of it quickly, and he's got a pretty strong arm.
On the fly. Just perfect. The single for Ramirez. He takes second on the throw. Now Jeremy Burnitz. He's 3 for 3. 2 extra base hits. 2 runs batted in. Ball 1 to Burnitz. Bagwell, Lamb, and Lane are due up in the bottom half. A play like that one by Taveras might go a long way tonight.
With the way the Astros have been struggling with the bats, you hate to get more than 1 run behind this late in the game. Last year, the way things were in August, September, and October, a 1-run, 2-run deficit in the last 3 innings of the game didn't seem like much of a problem.
No, it didn't. So that one keeps it close. As Chris Spire, the new third base coach, sent Lee home. No balls, 2 strikes. Well, Springer benefited from that excellent support by his center fielder as the Astros got their 4th outfield assist of the year.
You know, that was a case where it was a great play by the center fielder, but as Cub fans remember, a year ago, their third base coach basically got run out of town.
Wendell Kim.
He was not very popular.
Now back.
I would say that next to the umpires, the third base coach is the most hated man at the ballpark. You could send 10 guys in that make it by an inch. As soon as you send somebody in that gets thrown out by an inch, you're a villain.
Doug Mansolino knows all about that. See those yellow thunder sticks all over the ballpark tonight. Up and in.
Somebody might suggest that they keep those thunder sticks out of the Astros bat rack.
Around the right shoulder of Burnett's.
You know, he crowds it and he's stepping in. I mean, he didn't complain about that. No. It wasn't head high or anything. Pretty good pitch, really.
Slap the shortstop, Bruntlett. It's a good play to his right. And the Astros get it done defensively, especially from their center fielder, Willie Taveras, who charges the ball, gathers himself, and throws a strike to Brad Ausmus for the tag on Derek Lee. No runs, 2 hits, a man left. Cubs lead it 3-2 in the 8th. Cubs 3, Astros 2. Michael Wirtz had a good 7th inning. He's on the mound as Jeff Bagwell leads it off in the home 8th. And the slider is ball 1 to Bagwell, who walked in the first, homered in the 3rd. Mike Lamb and Jason Lane to follow here in the Astros 8th inning. 1 ball, 1 strike. Mike Remlinger, a lefty, is throwing in the Cubs bullpen. And the closer, right-hander LaTroy Hawkins, has begun to work. I'll have to check that. Might have some incorrect information. That's Roberto Novoa. 2 balls and a strike. It's Novoa instead of Hawkins. And we're not really sure who the Cubs closer will be for this game, so maybe they'll move in another direction than Hawkins. Dusty Baker said recently he would go with the closer by committee. It could be Remlinger if they need to get a left-handed batter for 1 out. 3 balls and a strike, or maybe even more than 1 out. Who knows? Meanwhile, the Astros had Chad Qualls warming up, and then Roy Oswalt started to throw. 3 balls, 2 strikes. Oswalt is due to start Sunday against Mark Pryor. And there he is. And now it's Dan Wheeler.
Of course, they can stay with Springer if they don't get down to that spot in the lineup. I wouldn't be surprised if it's a situation where if the Astros take the lead, they go to Roy. If they tie the game and have to pinch hit, they would go to Wheeler. Hard to say what Joe Garner's thinking about.
Roll to third. Ramirez gets Bagwell 1 down. The reason that Oswalt is throwing now is that Brad Lidge has had the flu among several Astros players. And Phil Garner said before the game tonight he wasn't sure if Brad would be available or not. John Franco also has had the flu. Wasn't sure if he would be available. Dusty Baker is going to make this move now with Mike Lamb scheduled up next. He's going now to his lefty Remlinger. Cubs lead at 3-2. Back in a moment. Back to his game, he would like to change.
I'd like to improve my fielding so Lance can't call me a newborn giraffe, first of all. But that and then develop a good changeup.
Grab Life by the Horns is brought to you by Dodge. Well, we grab Life by the Horns every day. Mike Lamb faces a lefty, but he's not Remlinger. We were incorrect in that. He's Will Oman. Oman was the lefty who was warming up, and he's one of 4 left-handers in the bullpen for the Cubs. Lamb has an RBI double in 3 trips.
This guy's been a big strikeout pitcher in the minor leagues. He missed a couple of seasons with an elbow injury. Last year at Iowa, he had 75 strikeouts in 52 innings. In a brief stint with the Cubs a couple of years ago, he had 12 strikeouts in 11 innings.
Breaking ball misses inside. Interesting story. He's pitched only 1 1/3 innings for the Cubs this year with 1 walk, 2 strikeouts. He just joined them 3 days ago, made his season debut that same night. First major league appearance since 2001 for Will Oman. And he's missing that inside corner again. 3 balls and a strike for the 27-year-old lefty from Frankfurt, West Germany. Had Tommy John surgery in 2001. He went to Pepperdine University. Lamb fouls it back. 3 balls, 2 strikes. Ullman had a big year in Mexico over the winter. He had 14 saves for Mazatlan, and that earned him a spot on the 40-man roster going to spring training. And the Cubs were clocking him at 93, 94 with a great slider in Mexico. But that's ball 4, and Lamb stays in nicely against the lefty.
He had a break in the sense that he wasn't able to get his slider over the plate. Threw the fastball 3-1, and Lamb fouled it, but I get the feeling watching the way he worked to Mike that he's a slider specialist, much like the guy before him, Wirtz. And he's not going to get a chance to face anybody else like Wirtz did.
It's 3-2 Cubs. Back in a moment. Astros batting 8th inning, 1 on, 1 out. And Roberto Novoa comes in. Here's pitcher number 4 for the night, and Steve Baker's wheeling and dealing here, Larry.
Yes, he is. He's liable to do some more wheeling and dealing before this game is over. Lane, after such a torrid start, has cooled down. I don't know that you could say anyone in the Astros lineup is swinging the bat well right now.
Lane 0 for 3 in this game. First one down, and that one's way outside, ball 1. Novoa was just called up from AAA Iowa on Wednesday, and then the Cubs immediately used him in that game Wednesday. He worked 1 inning in the 8-7 win. He's off to a nice start. 1-1 with 2 saves and a 2.08 at AAA Iowa. Fastball at 94. 1 ball, 1 strike. Novoa was traded by Detroit to the Cubs February 9th. The Kyle Farnsworth deal. Foul back.
Well, I'm not sure that he can throw as hard as Farnsworth, but the Cubs ran out of patience with Kyle because he just had so much trouble with control. So this guy's had some control problems in the minor leagues. And been a pretty good strikeout pitcher too.
He was a Pirate in the beginning of '99, listed at 6'5". He's 25. Foul ball, and just stays alive.
He really has a kind of a body like Hawkins does.
Yeah, I thought he was Hawkins at first. This one the Dominican. He gets a strikeout on Lane.
Maybe he can throw as hard as Farnsworth. That was 99.
Ooh. This could be a pretty good trade for the Cubs. 2 down. Morgan Ensberg's 1 for 3. Novoa last year at AA Erie had 4 saves. He struck out 59 in 79 innings there before being jumped up to the Tigers. Strike 1.
He's a little bit slow to the plate, but he's not slow enough for Mike Lamb to run. One of the things that really is an added extra that most managers don't get is to have a guy that's a bench player that can come in and steal a base.
In the dirt, Lamb almost advanced on that one, but Barrett blocked it. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Maybe look for a lot of things for the guys that are playing reserve. Some of it hitting. Can they pinch hit? Can they play a number of positions so you can leave them in a game and make a double switch? Some guys over the years have been mostly just home run hitters, and you just pretty much home run or nothing. You send them up there hoping they can get a hold of one.
Foul back. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Cubs reworking their bullpen. Now back, it's still 2-2. Cubs with course, many thought had one of the strongest starting rotations coming into this season. Rothschild has those hard throwers.
Yeah, I thought Wirth threw the ball well.
Yeah, he did.
And Oman with his strikeout numbers is probably above average stuff-wise. So you would think that they have the makings of an even better pitching staff than what they had to begin with, which was pretty good with their starters. Now the runner Lamb will be breaking and leaves behind him. Good time for a double.
It's ball 4 over the head of Ensberg. The Astros have Eric Bruntlett, but he's being called back. And Jose Vizcaino comes out. Vizcaino will pinch hit here for Bruntlett. He got out of the hospital at noon today. Been on an IV and was kept overnight at Methodist Hospital. He had strep throat when the Astros were in Pittsburgh. And so weak, he said on Wednesday, he didn't even know if he could grip the bat enough to go off and pinch hit, but he wasn't used in that game, and he feels much better today.
Right back into service, and he has really given this team great service over the years, both in the field and at the plate. He can do so many things, the things we've talked about. You can't bring him in there to steal a base, but you can bring him in there and leave him in there and put him in the outfield or the infield, just about anywhere on the infield especially. And if the other team wants to switch pitchers, he can just turn around and hit from the other side of the plate. It gives you a lot of options.
Vizcaino's 4 for 12 with 2 runs batted in. As a pinch hitter, he's 2 for 6 with 2 runs batted in. 2 men on, 2 outs. Osmus on deck. One to Vizcaino. Astros pinch hitters have 7 pinch hits, 5 runs batted in 26 at bats. Jose had an RBI on a pinch double in the 8th inning at New York. A game-winning pinch RBI double in the 9th against Cincinnati this month. Fly ball to center. Corey Patterson. In the 8th for Houston, it's no runs, no hits, 2 men stranded. Moving to the 9th, Cubs lead it 3-2.
Cubs lead at 3-2 as play goes to the top of the 9th. You know, for every game we televise this year, we're going to honor a player who wore an Astros uniform, and today, J.R. Richard. He wore a big one. He pitched 10 years in the majors, all with the Astros. He became a full-time starter in '75, averaging 35 starts a year. His most dominant year was 1979. He made 38 starts, completed half of them, threw 4 shutouts, struck out a league-high 313 batters in 292 innings, and finished with 18 wins and a 2.72 earned run average. One of the most dominating pitchers the Houston Astros organization has ever had, James Rodney Richard, tonight's 40th anniversary player.
I remember the season he won 20 games because he had to start on 2 days rest in each of his last 2 starts. Of course, he always beat the Dodgers, and he beat them on the road to get 19, and then he had to start on the last day of the season on 2 days rest. And he gave up a few runs, and about midway through the game, he hit a home run himself, and he won that game too. And won 20.
Dan Wheeler takes over with Jose Vizcaino at shortstop. Todd Hollinsworth looks at strike 1. Hollinsworth with a pop fly RBI double in the 2nd is 1 for 3. Closer LaTroy Hawkins is getting loose in the Cubs bullpen.
Oh, you're not going with the committee anymore?
No. Well, sometimes you play day by day. Right? Ball, 1 strike. There's Hawkins. Meanwhile, Joe Borowski was throwing off flat ground before this game tonight. And he might be a couple weeks away from returning to the Cubs bullpen, so he might be able to reclaim that closer's job. Drive up the right field line is hooking. Hollinsworth watches it go foul. Several feet. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Hollinsworth was Rookie of the Year with the Dodgers many years ago. And I think for the first 2 or 3 years they thought he was going to blossom into a big star. And he's turned out to be a very serviceable player, but not a big star.
And goes out of play. A ball and 2 strikes. Michael Barrett on deck. Pitcher's spot, due up third. Cubs probably will pinch hit for Novoa. Dan Wheeler threw only 4 pitches Wednesday against the Pirates. Got 1 out in a 2-0 game in the 7th inning. And the only batter he faced. High drive right field again, and Hollingsworth has hit another prodigious foul ball.
He ran on that one, though. He thought that might go fair. It was really a judgment call by the umpire because the ball was higher than the foul pole when it left. And so you have to triangulate in your mind where it was when it passed that foul pole, the same way you would on a bouncing ball going over one of the bags first or third. Looks like you got it right.
He did. 1-2 to Hollingsworth. Wes Springer in 1 inning allowed 2 hits, no runs, no walks, no strikeouts. Line drive to right center. Lane will have to play it off the wall. Hollingsworth into second. He gets his second double. Cubs have had 6 doubles.
Might have hit that ball harder than the other 2.
They might have. 6 doubles in this game, 2 by Hollingsworth and a home run among their 10 hits. Michael Barrett is 0 for 3. Ben Grieve comes out to the on-deck circle.
Well, Wheeler has generally been most effective when he keeps the ball down. Comes up and in every once in a while. And sometimes he'll have a game where he elevates his pitches a little too much, too often, and that's where he struggles.
Barrett's around to bunt, puts it down. Wheeler goes to Biggio covering on the sacrifice. Advances Hollingsworth to third, 1 out. Now the Cubs send pinch hitter Grieve up to bat for Novoa. Grieve was in the on-deck circle earlier in the game, but he was pulled back for Jason Du Bois.
And Du Bois hit a double, so that was a good move by Dusty Baker. You never know where you're making good moves when you make them. You only know after the fact.
The infield comes in.
He's a pretty good contact hitter. He's got a real good eye. So I think he's maybe even a little bit too selective at the plate.
Ball 1 to Grieve.
A weird pitch.
Yeah, it took off.
They really overthrew it. Normally in this situation, the guys with the ground ball pitchers try to get the ground ball and hope to get it to one of the drawn in infielders and keep the runner on third. Sometimes you don't want to get the ball up unless you're just a guy that's got a good riding fastball and you think you can strike a guy out or get a pop up. But the hitter's looking for a pitch that's elevated a little bit that he can lift over the drawn in infield.
He's 2 for 3 as a pinch hitter. His contract was purchased from Iowa just 6 days ago. He hit .308 there, driving in 10 runs in 11 games.
He really got off to a good start in his career at Oakland, but just leaving there, it's gone pretty much the other direction. He's one of those in-between guys that can hit for pretty good average but doesn't have the speed to steal bases and hit at the top of the lineup. And though he's got some extra base power, we really couldn't call him a home run hitter. He just kind of stuck in between.
Two balls and 2 strikes for Dan Wheeler. Novoa in 2/3 of an inning gave up no hits, no runs. There's that pitch.
Good slider. Right at the end. Get it under the bat.
The way the Cubs bullpen has been, this is the mission of Wheeler to cut off this potential insurance run. Scoring from third base, 1 out. Popped it up. Osmer's back near the screen. Just enough room. 2 outs.
That was a good pitch. You know, a lot of times I think pitchers just feel like they have to get a ground ball with a man on third and less than 2 outs. But you don't have to. He comes upstairs after the slider downstairs and gets a pop-up. Now that pop-up is caught by Ausmus in foul territory. It could have been caught by any of the infielders out in the shallow outfield area, or it could have even gone further into the outfield. And one of the outfielders could have caught it, maybe 50, 60 feet out into the outfield, and it still wouldn't have scored the run.
Gary Hairston has a single and a walk in 4 trips. Hansberg stays even with the bag at third for Hairston. The appeal goes to first. Check swing for Laz Diaz.
I'm surprised he got that call on that one.
Yeah.
That's one of those borderline things. I'm not saying he did swing for sure, but he moved after it so aggressively with his body. And a lot of times that's where you get the call.
Strike. 1-1. The Astros have the 8, 9, and 1 hitters due up in the bottom of the inning. Ausmus the pitcher and Taveras.
Didn't have much pop on the bench.
We'll probably see Orlando Palmeiro pinch hitting for the pitcher Wheeler. Pop up Vizcaíno. No runs ahead, a runner stranded at third, and now the Astros need a run in the 9th to tie. 2 to win it with the Cubs in front 3-2. Houston Astros baseball on FSN Houston is being brought to you by Southwest Airlines and by your Texas Ford dealers. Troy Hawkins comes in for the Chicago Cubs. The Astros fans with their rally caps on. They need a run to tie, 2 to win it in the bottom of the 9th inning. And Hawkins had his difficulties last year as the Cubs closer. After Joe Borowski got hurt, that was his job. And he had been primarily a setup man earlier in his career. He's 1-1 so far this season, Larry.
Well, he's not the closer you'd like to have, but he's got a good arm. He's not afraid. He's got some experience. And I think he's serviceable. And really, Borowski was much more than serviceable. They haven't had a dominating closer in a few years. Oddly enough, we played a few teams that are in that same position. Seemed like everybody had someone that threw 95 to 100 miles an hour and had pretty good control 4 or 5 years ago, but not everybody has that guy anymore.
Orlando Palmeiro pinch hitting for Brad Ausmus. Takes strike 1. Ausmus 1 for 3. Chris Burke is on deck with the pitcher spot due up next. Palmeiro 3 for 13. And as a pinch hitter, Orlando is 2 for 5. Third baseman Ramos Ramirez in tight. Fouled away, and quickly the count goes to 0-2 for the veteran 32-year-old LaTroy Hawkins.
Palmeiro, a veteran too, of course. He's probably not ideally suited to leading off because he doesn't walk much, but he has delivered a lot of pinch hits during his career, 70 some odd. He's not new to this situation.
Flared foul outside the left field line. Hollinsworth won't have room to get to that one. So no balls, 2 strikes. Greg Maddux is in line for the win. Hawkins trying to nail it down, shooting for save number 4 of the year. He has 3 saves in 5 opportunities. That fly ball is headed to foul territory and out of play. Hawkins came into the game on Wednesday against Cincinnati. You see Palmeiro with 72 pinch hits, 3rd on the active list. Hawkins preserved a 7-7 tie. He worked the scoreless 9th inning, and then he got the win. And Corey Patterson with a game-winning walk-off homer in the bottom of the 9th. Jammed on this one. He pops it up. Eric Lee fights his way around Jose Cruz. That ball's a little ways back. Hawkins was converted to a reliever in 2000. Batting average against him is .243. Hawkins had 25 saves last year, 9 blown saves. He gets a strikeout on Palmeiro with a changeup.
What a beauty. Palmeiro doesn't swing and miss very often. That pitch really fooled him.
Chris Burke is the pinch hitter for Dan Wheeler, who in 1 inning allowed 1 hit, no runs, with no walks or strikeouts. Burke's had 41 at bats with 10 hits for a .244 average. He has no homers and 2 runs batted in. 0 for 4 as a pinch hitter. Burke hits the ball 1 with Willie Taveras on deck. Cleared to shallow right field. 3 players giving chase. Hairston. 2 outs.
Hawkins spent a couple seasons in the rotation with the Twins, and the problem he had in that role is he was a little wild. He run high pitch counts, walk a lot of batters. No one has ever questioned his stuff. He's got a good arm. Sometimes when you come in at the end of the game, you don't need to have as good a control because the hitters can't work deep counts and try to wear you out by taking pitches. They're out of time and they have to swing.
Taveras is 1 for 4. Strike to Taveras with Craig Biggio on deck. It's 0-2. Hawkins reached back and delivered at 94 miles per hour.
We're right down to it, aren't we?
Right down to it.
6 in a row.
Down to the final strike.
Not yet, though.
One ball and 2 strikes. Brandon Backey and Kerry Wood tomorrow night. Wood went 5 innings and came out with some shoulder tendonitis in his last start. Sunday, Roy Oswalt and Mark Pryor. The Astros handed Hawkins 2 losses last year. Two and 2. Also had 4 saves against Houston. They all came in the month of June. Taveras down the right field line. Jeremy Burnett's over. And the Cubs win this battle of 300 game winners. Maddux the winner, Clemens the loser. Maddux goes to 1-1. That is also Roger Clemens' record. LaTroy Hawkins gets save number 4 as Chicago takes it, and Houston now has lost 6 in a row. Our player of the game is brought to you by Gatorade. Jeremy Burnett's 3 for 3 in this game. RBI single in the 2nd inning. Right over shortstop. That gave the Cubs their first run and tied the game at 1, and then his double in the 4th inning. This game was tied 2-2 at that point. He didn't score, but he did in the 7th inning. This became the game winner. In the 7th inning off Roger Clemens, Jeremy Burnett, who went to Conroe High School, provides a game-winning blow in the 7th, and the Cubs take it by a final of 3-2. Chicago over Houston in the first of a 3-game series. We'll be back with more from the ballpark in just a moment. First, let's go to the